either directly or indirectly, the idea of mentoring has come up in a lot of these discussions of different people in your teams. They have different goals, and you're partly there to have them fulfill the research goals you have, but they also have career goals and ambitions. So there's mentoring that's really going on here. And so to really focus in on that, we have Philip Binkley, who is professionally a cardiologist specializing in internal medicine and in cardiovascular disease, but also has been very much involved in mentoring. He helped actually start the mentor training at the CCTS, and he is the founding director of the FAME program in the College of Medicine, which is a faculty development program. I have to confess, like everybody else, I know FAME. We don't know if it's an acronym. We don't know what it all stands for, but we know that it is for faculty development and has lots of tools and resources, and mentoring is part of that. So I just turned over to Phil, who is a great expert on mentoring.
Great. Thank you, Stuart. And it's great to be here with you all today. FAME stands for Faculty Advancement, Mentoring, and Engagement. And actually, we are, involved in a lot of collaborations with the CCTS in terms of mentoring and other projects. So today, I'm going to try to cover a very broad topic, because when you talk about mentoring teams, you're talking about mentoring many different levels of professional development, many different types of professionals. People, and some of you in your team may be being mentored and also mentoring. But what I hope I get to in talking about what are some best practices we developed in the CCTS a few years ago are things that are really common to all mentorship and mentorship interactions. There will be a couple of things that will focus a little bit on faculty, but most of these things can be applied to all mentorship relationships. So I like to start out, who was mentor? Who knows, where do we get that term, and who was mentor? You have any Greek mythologists in the audience? Good, so I can tell you about anything. But no, actually, mentor was the teacher of Telemachus, who was the son of Odysseus. So when Odysseus went on his journeys all over the world and his different travails, he left mentor in charge of training and guiding Telemachus. And so that's where our term comes from, mentor. Now, the other part of the myth and story I really like is this is Athena. And it turns out that when Athena came to Earth, and visited Odysseus's mansion, estate, whatever it was, she disguised herself as mentor. And she continued to mentor Telemachus and guide and teach him. So I think it's a wonderful illustration in our deep mythology of the critical role that women play in the mentorship role. And I think it's also interesting to look at famous mentorship dyads to kind of see some great examples. Socrates and Plato, Haydn and Beethoven, Freud and Jung. And I think what's really interesting about these things, like I'm not a musicologist, but I don't think that Beethoven's music sounds a lot like Haydn's, and I know that Jung developed a lot of theories that Freud would never have agreed with. And I think this is very emblematic of successful mentorship. Mentors give their mentorees the strength, the training, the skill to go on and develop their own careers, even if it is something that the mentor may not be particularly in agreement with, but they have given their mentorees the ability to establish their own careers. You'll notice, unlike Dr. Christian, I'm saying mentoree. This is just a pet preference of mine. There's a lot of discussion in the literature. What do you call somebody who's being mentored? Protege sounds too stiff and formal, I think. My problem with mentee is I think it sounds like you're mental or something, like, hey, I'm a mentee. So I always like the term mentoree. It's not used as much, but you'll hear me use it. So what are the goals of being a mentor, no matter what stage you're at? And the goals will vary with the mentoree and the stage, but this is a very lofty goal that somebody came up with, but I like it. I think most goals are aspirational, but to move the mentoree to the next career stage while maintaining professional career engagement, a sense of achievement, and personal and professional balance. So I think if you can do all those things as a mentor, you're a super mentor. But the critical things are advancing career, becoming more independent, letting the mentoree feel that they've had achievement, and also trying to achieve their own balance in their life as you do that. And I think those are some critical goals. So I'm going to go over briefly, as I mentioned, some best practices that were put together a few years ago. And how did we do this? This is really a very exciting process because we had expert mentors come together through the CCTS and we had focus groups talking about what really constitutes good mentorship. And we had mentorees, either K awardees, T awardees, other people being mentored through roundtables and different things. We had discussions about, what really does constitute good mentorship, as well as what exists in the literature. So first of all, and these best practices are available on the FAME website. They may be available through the CCTS, I'm not sure. You can find the FAME website if you just Google OSU FAME, and it will take you there. We actually have a whole toolbox of mentoring skills and resources. One little irritation I have with Google, usually when you Google OSU FAME, it says, do you mean OSU game? Like that's all we really do here. But say, no, I want to see OSU FAME. But first, one thing to consider is there are different kinds of mentors. And that's one of the things our document sorts out, because sometimes when you say mentor to someone, it means different things. So we can divide mentors roughly into content mentors. They may be people who give you specific advice about your field, techniques. What do you need to learn? What's the next experiment you should do? And really feed your professional career. And we have career mentors who give you guidance on career development. For instance, you may come to me or somebody in FAME or other people and talk about, how do I get promoted, or how do I get a job, or those kinds of things. You may have a life mentor, and that may be somebody out of your profession who's just helping you deal with, how do you manage your life, how do you grow, how do you advance. Peer mentorship is another very important form of mentorship that sometimes we overlook. People at the same level of career stage can mentor each other. You may have found solutions that one of your colleagues needs to know and share this. And this is actually a very powerful form of mentorship. Often when we say mentor, though, we mean the primary mentor. So that's the mentor who really engages in, here we use the word protege, in synthesizing and giving advice and guidance provided by all the other mentors. So this is the person who may just help you put everything together. They may not be your content mentor, but when you go to them, you can help synthesize things. My content mentor says I should do this. My career mentor says I need to do this to advance my career. How do I fit all these things together? And sometimes these are the same people. Your content mentor may be your primary mentor, et cetera. It may serve a number of roles, but I think we can think of them sort of in those different categories. Also, one thing that comes up periodically is people confuse mentorship with coaching, which is very important, but coaching is a much more discrete, targeted activity, which is not a long-term relationship. Most of these relationships we're talking about are long-term, which is important for a reason I'll get back to in a minute. But a coach may help you write a better abstract, or if you're going to give a presentation at a national meeting, coach me to give this presentation better. They may coach you with an experimental technique, which I've had experience. Years ago, when I started doing some more molecular work, I wanted to do PCRs myself, and I needed a lot of coaching. I mean, the first PCR I ran, I amplified the control lane. I mean, how in the world did that happen? I never figured out what I amplified. But so I needed a lot of coaching, and then once I was on my own, I could do that better. So that differentiates coaching from the long-term form of mentorships. So what did we find are really the key features of effective mentorship in all of our focus groups and our discussions? Now, this is from the perspective of the mentors. The number one characteristic that the mentors felt a good mentor had to have was to be honest. They are stating what they can provide. It's very important when you enter into that mentoring agreement that the mentor can tell you what they can provide, what are the expectations, and if they're too busy, can they really take you on as a mentoree? The best mentors will be honest and say, you know, I'd really like to do that, but I really can't devote the time that you need. And to be honest about what the mentoree needs to improve, where they need to grow. It's kind of like what was just being discussed with giving, you know, professional feedback. You have to be able to do that in a formative way as an effective mentor. And I would say formative, not judgmental. The second most important characteristic was openness. I don't know how many of you have gone to a mentor maybe or not such a good mentor and say, I have this really great idea, and you know, you just say, that's stupid, no, you need to do this or something. You know, the mentors really have to be able to instill the excitement of the mentoree and what they want to do and be open to their ideas. Now, they may need to be honest and tell them, you know, that is a good idea, but we have to modify it this way, or to be practical, this is what we have to do, and introduce realism into these goals. But it's important to not just shut down an idea right away, which is really discouraging to a mentoree. Time is one of the most important things the mentor has to be able to develop. It is impossible to mentor somebody without devoting some time to it. And in doing that, a good mentor needs to commit to regular meeting intervals. And this may be if your mentor is the person who runs your lab, you may be meeting every day, but you need to set aside some time, if they're your primary mentor, to also sit down about your career and your development and where you go on, so this doesn't always get mixed in with the day-to-day work in the lab. As I mentioned, they really need to provide formative feedback. So things that are helpful, that will help you grow, not summative or judgmental feedback. And this is why in the faculty world we get into some real conflicts, that we really say that a mentor should not be on the promotion and tenure committee, because if one of their mentorees is coming up for promotion or working towards that, because, you know, how can you develop a relationship of trust if that mentor is going to eventually give you judgmental and evaluative feedback? It leads to a very conflicted relationship. So again, we can't always arrange that, but that's what we try to do. Inspirational. This was another major factor, both in the literature and of mentorees. Their example, their career success, their enthusiasm for their field. And, you know, in FAME, we have been giving Mentor of the Year awards in the College of Medicine. And it's very instructive to read the nominating letters, because it really tells you what people are perceiving as really great mentors. And I think every one of them that we've awarded, the word inspirational came about, that these mentors really helped their mentorees be excited about their field, know how to advance their field, and give them the excitement that can carry people through some pretty tough times. And again, they have to foster independence at a progressive stage. So again, I think a mentor is somebody that I think when I feel I've successfully mentored somebody, just like we were talking about Freud and Jung and Haydn and Beethoven. They've taken somebody on, allowed them to go on to a world of independence. And in their mentoring, they're setting successive expectations that promote independence. I took, actually we were in the original cadre of people that did the mentorship training course that Dr. Christian talked about, and we were talking about something I'll come back to at the end in a few minutes about, how do you know that you've been successful as a mentor? And my proposition was, you're successful as a mentor when your mentoree comes to you for advice and they appreciate that and thank you and then go off and do something else. Now, that isn't good early in the career, but I think later on, after the relationship is matured, that's really what you want. You're a trusted advisor now, but you've given the mentoree the independence to make their own decisions. Providing structure and timelines and giving specific expectations for accomplishments of goals. The mentor really has to help people structure their time and set expectations. And this is where we feel that the mentor is critical in developing a 5-year career development plan. And I would really encourage you to try to do this at any stage. This is true for me, this is true for anybody at any stage, knowing, where do I want to be in 5 years, then how do I get there? What are the successive stages that I have to achieve to get there? And this isn't just a good idea. There's actually a literature that show that people who develop a good 5-year career development plan are more successful in their careers and have greater satisfaction. So one of the tools you can find at the FAME website is an outline for constructing a 5-year plan. And this is something that you should do with your mentor, but you should make the first step yourself. Try to do this yourself and understand where I want to be, and then take it to your mentor and keep working on it. If you are a faculty member mentoring somebody who is a developing faculty member, you really need to know the appointment, promotion, and tenure tracks and guidelines to help them advance. That really is a responsibility of the mentor. You have to really know, read, be familiar with your department's promotion and tenure document. I can say this because I've written my department's document many times. It's not scintillating reading. If you're having trouble getting to sleep sometime, it's a great document to pull out. But there's a lot of important things in there, and the senior faculty really have to help developing faculty understand how to develop their career. Networking and sponsoring is one of the greatest responsibilities of the primary mentor in particular. We all need to grow professionally, and one of the ways we grow professionally is we need to meet other experts in the area. We have to become recognized. This fosters not only our reputation, but our credibility in going to others to collaborate when we write grants. When papers are reviewed, people may have met you at a meeting and understand what your career is about. And so this is something that really good mentors do, help their mentorees not only network, but sponsor them. Get them on committees, get them involved with national organizations. You really need a lot of times that senior person to help knock down some walls for you. And this is another critically important job. Now, training is exceptionally important, as Dr. Christian was saying. Especially for the primary mentor or a mentor, a long-term mentoring relationship, this may go on for years, and you have to get it right. You have to find the right person, and the person mentoring you really needs to understand the process of mentorship and have had hopefully some training in this. You don't really want to be in this, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. In addition to the really excellent course that Dr. Christian mentioned, which I can't emphasize enough, how good that, it's very interactive and it's good for all levels of mentorship. And also, I think one of the things, she mentioned younger people going through the training. One of the things you learn when you go through mentorship training, even if you're fairly junior, is you learn what good mentorship should be. So what should you expect from your mentor? And then as well as what will you do sometime when you are a mentor? We have 4 online modules that are each about 15 to 20 minutes on another website called FD for Me, which if you, again, just Google FD for Me, it comes up. And I think these are 4 really good introductory modules to what it means to mentor, what are the skills you need to mentor as an introduction, with the more detailed being provided by Dr. Christian's course. But as I said, you have to go to somebody good because you don't want to be in this situation from a famous New Yorker cartoon. I mean, you don't want to be in the situation, well, it's back to the drawing board. I need to find another mentor when I'm 5 years into a mentoring relationship. So this takes some time. What are the benefits to the mentor? Well, if you are a faculty member, there is academic credit towards being a mentor, but it also furthers your own career. We all know that if you mentor people, the worst mentors are the people who aren't really mentors, that everybody in their lab or their program goes out and never publishes a paper that doesn't have the mentor's name on it. And actually people around the country, I've been surprised when I've looked at search committees and things like that, everybody knows who those people are. They'll say, you know, they haven't trained an independent scientist in their entire career, and they're looked down upon. But if you are a good mentor and people go out, they're independent, they go someplace else and have success, that reflects well on your own career. And also, people who mentor well have a higher rate of career satisfaction themselves. It's really a dynamic and mutual relationship. And I would say sometimes the mentor may get more out of the relationship than the mentoree because it's very fulfilling. In the business sector, there's actually data that has shown this, that effective mentors, not only do their mentees get paid more and are retained in their businesses more, the mentors actually are retained more and actually tend to make more money. It's a very energizing process for the mentor, and so when it works well, it's a great relationship. Now, what did the mentorees say that were the important things? What's interesting, the very thing that the mentors said was most important, the mentorees said was important. It's honesty. More than anything else, you have to have an honest relationship. You have to be willing to tell the mentor, I'm having trouble, you set these goals, I'm having trouble doing this, and being honest about it. Respectful of the mentor's time. Again, mentoring takes time, but also we all know that our mentors are very busy people, and we have to respect their time limits as well. Being a driving force, in other words, being mentored is not a passive process. This is a process where you need to take your ideas, your questions, your thoughts, and help drive the mentorship relationship. Again, that's in a good relationship what makes mentors so fulfilled. I mean, there's, I think, nothing more fun than having somebody come in with, you know, their own ideas that they're passionate about, and they really want to discuss these and see how to make them happen. That's to me the sign of the best mentoring relationship. And as I alluded to, following the mentor's timelines and benchmarks for achievement. So if you're given an outline, respect the mentor's guidance and try to follow through. And then again, be honest if you're having trouble making those expectations. Let's go figure it out with your mentor and see why it's not working well. How do you find an effective mentor? Well, most studies have shown that assigned mentorship doesn't work usually. You know, just assigning, saying, oh, you're going to be so-and-so's mentor is not really a good way to develop a mentorship. I had one person at a faculty development meeting say, well, I don't know why that should be. Arranged marriages in some cultures work, so why shouldn't arranged mentorship? Well, it may work out, it may not, so you don't want to take that kind of chance. But how do you do that? Well, you have to search around and look for people who are potential mentors. You may need to talk to other people to say who's a good mentor. Some of the literature has said, look for somebody who has a career like the one you'd like to have, because that's probably somebody who might be a good mentor, have similar values to you. Dr. Christian pointed out the importance of communication styles that may resonate with you. And also somebody who is enthusiastic about you, that they think you're going to be a really great professional and really is excited about helping you. Now, again, I like this kind of complicated diagram because we are talking about mentoring teams. This was from a mentorship summit that we had at Northwestern in the fall, and one of the people at Northwestern had this multimodal centrifugal model, but basically shows how I think mentorship can be a contagion. And so that an effective central mentor who may go to junior faculty, who then can mentor students, and staff, we can actually distribute our mentorship. I think one good mentor can train many others to be effective and inspire them to be effective mentors, so that we get sort of a cascade of mentorship that can work throughout a team, work throughout an institution. Dr. Christian mentioned mentorship agreements. I think especially for a serious long-term mentoring arrangement, this is important. These are not legal documents. It isn't like somebody's going to come back and say 6 months from now, well, you said you were going to do this and you didn't. It's really to set expectations. I mean, I literally had one mentor tell me that he agreed to mentor someone, and the mentoree felt that meant that they should come in every day for an hour and discuss their problems. Well, if that was what they really agreed to, that's fine. But that's not what the mentor had in mind at all. So setting up those examples and those relationships are important. Again, we have examples in our FAME mentorship toolbox, especially for mentors, but mentorees also. Having a mentor diary is an effective approach to try to write down, well, what did we talk about, so when we meet again, we can revisit those. This is again, we talked about how mentoring is a time commitment, but this is a nice tool that we have in our, on our website called the 1 Minute Mentor. It really, an effective mentor interaction doesn't have to take a long time if it's well structured and planned. And so this is a nice little sequence of events to go through to have a very effective but succinct mentorship agreement or interaction. And finally, how do we measure mentorship success? That's something that we've talked a lot about and actually is discussed in the literature. And I think, to me, what I said earlier, I think if you have progressive independence of the mentoree, you know that you're probably making success. Are they achieving professional goals? I think achievement of goals is probably the best, and there are some institutions that I've worked with that is their assessment tool. They have lists of faculty goals, and they determine, one of my colleagues at Medical University of South Carolina has put together data that the more mentorship meetings their faculty had, the higher was their proportion of goal achievement in their careers. So I think that's another way to know if you're having success as a mentor. So that's a brief overview of effective mentorship and our mentorship best practices. So we're always available through the CCTS, through FAME, what have you, to talk more about mentorship and go forth and mentor. So good talking to you all.